Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the 14th installment of the State of FEH Podcast. I'm your host, DTM, and I'm joined by Oblivion and Joel from Phaeology as always. How are you two doing this fine evening?
I'm just living in the hype train that is Zelda right now, and I'm going to jump onto the Final Fantasy 16 hype train a little bit after this, so
yes.
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, we're recording this like the day of the trailer release, and we are all super hyped for it. So, yeah. How are you doing, Joel?
Well, see, he's on the hype train. I'm on the copium train. That is the Engage banner that is going to come out. Maybe. Finally. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
We'll see.
If it doesn't come out now, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, what banner could they release? They're going to release like an Echoes banner, and it's going to be like the old men from Echoes, and that's it. Like,
No, you know what it's going to be. It's going to be TMS.
Don't even say that. That's super copium.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like, this is basically the last banner that they could possibly have engaged before, like, we have the Fallen, we have the OC tie-in, we have, like, a bunch of banners that super unlikely Engage will be in. So, like, this is it for intelligent systems. Like, tomorrow, when this is released, if I don't see an Engage banner, I'm genuinely shocked.
I think they're going to break the rules. I think they're not going to do what they did last year. Like, I think they're going to just, like, dump Engage banners once they get to the point, you know what I mean? I feel like there's something, they're holding out for something, you know what I mean? Like, there's a reason why this is happening. There's no way they're that dumb where they're like, hey, we don't need more money. Why would we need more money? You know what I mean? So, like, they're planning something.
Right.
And we do have a FEH channel coming up probably pretty soon, right? It should be by the end of the month.
I'm thinking it's going to coincide with Golden Week. It just
Okay.
feels like that's about the right time.
That makes sense to me, yeah, definitely.
Right. And bless you. It would make sense. I don't remember. Did we have a FEH channel last year in April? I don't remember having one.
We didn't last year. It was late. But the 2 years previous, we had them in April.
Okay.
Yeah, I like almost every year before that we had them in April. It was like either an April Fool's one or it was like a real one.
Oh boy, the April Fools. I guess we can go into that first.
Oh gosh.
Just to get it out of the way. So, I have to ask, did you move with Askr? Or did you do the Askr as part of your workout routine?
Definitely not.
What's working out? Is that a thing we do?
Yeah.
Oh man. Rocket Gal said she did it in one of her videos, and that made me laugh pretty hard. So I was just like, okay, it's gonna be amazing. But yeah,
Okay.
We should we should do a Summer Duels tournament, and whoever gets last place has to record themselves doing that.
Maybe. It was funny though because
Well, I mean,
oh, go ahead.
Rocket Gal got bussed in by her sister, right?
Right.
She's in the middle of working out, and her like, what is this?
Yeah. Oh boy. Honestly, the best thing about that was like all the fan art that happened afterward of all the characters doing like the pose and whatnot. Honestly, I think they really outdid themselves this year.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It was funny too because when I was watching it, I was actually like working out while on the computer. And so I was like, this is just for me. Didn't do it though, but maybe one day.
I was just like completely caught off guard. And then also like I fell asleep like early, I passed out. And I woke up and saw that we got like 250 stamina potions. And I was like, okay, this is like the weirdest dream ever. What is going on right now?
Yes. Yeah. Askr being a homemade, giving out all those staminas for us, especially for all the new players. I think that would actually be really helpful for them.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah,
you guys want to know what my weird dream was?
Sure. Yeah.
I dreamed that Oblivion put out a tier list.
Oh, that's not. I mean,
okay.
It was on tier 4 skills. It was really, I woke up and looked for it because I thought it's one of those weird things where it kind of blended into reality.
Right.
It's been a long week, so but I was like, wait a minute, where's the tier list? I swear I just saw it.
I've had that happen before, definitely. Where I'm like, I know there was a video for this, and it just doesn't exist.
All right.
Okay, if you're ranking April Fools, where does this rank for you guys?
2 for me.
It's either first or second. I can't decide whether I like this one or last year's the best. Because last year's was actually a jam. It was super fun.
Oh, yeah. I thought last year's was the best, and then this year's the second. But this year's was still really good. Last year's was just amazing.
I'm old school. My favorite is the Faye banner video, where they put up the banner where Faye was like a legendary unit, and she just did 999 damage to everything. I love that video. That was so good.
You know that's how Sami is going to be introduced in Faye, right? Just dealing 99 damage.
Oh man, they need to do like an Ether Resort revamp with Sami in it. That'd be cool.
Yes. Just
Yes.
bring the Somnial to Faye, please. I think people would be super hyped for that.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, enough fun times. We actually have to talk about Faye. I know, so sad. But yeah, it's been, I want to say, a relatively eventful month this past month in terms of the new additions that we've got. Not necessarily like modes or mechanics wise, but just the new unit and skill additions. And we can start with the top at the Sacred Stones banner, aka the Guidance 4 banner, because that's basically what everyone cared about for that banner. At least on initial impressions. And I believe both of you have summoned for Guidance 4 or have it. What has your experience been using it?
You want to take this one first, Joe? Because I know you were showing off some replays.
It's amazing.
Yes.
I mean, name the mode. It's amazing. It's a little bit unwieldy on defense, but in the right hands, it's pretty powerful. But every other thing, like on offense, it's phenomenal. I've got it on Peony and Plumeria, and then of course in Summoner Duels, it's just amazing. And in in Arena, it's ridiculous. But you know that's I don't know that that's so much competitive mode, but it does make things a lot more fun.
I mean, it's just a broken skill in my opinion, right? Like they went way overboard with it in my right? Like, cause like think about this, right? We have tier 4 skills. We have Fury 4. What does Fury 4 do? It's +4 to all stats and 8 recoil damage. That's very tame. Or even solos, like right? Solos just +1 more stat. Then you go to Guidance 4. You can increase the warping range by 1 whole space, and you get no follow up. Like, come on, that's absolutely ridiculous. So,
Yeah,
I mean, jeez.
Yeah, I keep forgetting oftentimes that Guidance 4 actually gives you no follow-up to like your units. Like, that is something I keep constantly forgetting, and it's kind of insane if you think about it. Like, if
totally
Guidance 4 was just the 2 spaces warping effect, that would have already been like super powerful, because we all know how powerful Ash is. But to have on top of that the NFU buff, like, it's actually like really crazy. And yeah, I've been seeing a lot of that in Summoner's Duels as well, and yeah, it's definitely having a big impact on that mode.
It's horrifying. It's so scary. I'm just like, please don't show up on my enemy team. I don't want to play against this. Because you just have to think about so many more things now, right? Because it's like, not only who can work, but also like if they position the Guidance 4 user like one space different, how does that change all the positions they can attack from now? Just like, oh my gosh.
Right.
So this would have been the perfect warp map that they're doing right now for Summoner. That will be the Summoner Duels S map next week. And then they went in and added erosion.
Oh my god.
Which completely turns everything on its head. So this next one will be absolute chaos.
I hate erosion. I hate erosion so much. It's my least favorite captain skill, other than quick draw, I guess. But like, it just makes it so that like I kind of like have to just like change the way my brain works. I'm like, okay, we're just going into trading wars. I'm not gonna give you a choice. We're trading immediately. Let's see who can trade better. Like that's what we're going for.
Right. Erosion seasons. Yeah, erosion seasons are always really interesting and just feel like really different from like seasons without erosion, like any other captain skill. Yeah, it really forces you to think about like trading a lot more instead of just being protected by your far save, and like making sure the captain is positioned in a way that, say, if the opponent's captain comes in and takes you out, your captain can kill their captain and therefore get a point advantage, which normally you don't necessarily need to think about. You just far save, protect me, please. But yeah, especially now. I mean, I guess like, how do you think Guidance 4 really changes things from normal erosion seasons?
Well, I mean, like, you're just going to ignore the save unit with your captain, right? But the thing is like, you don't technically want to use your captain as like the first trading unit typically, right?
Right.
You want to send somebody else in with Guidance 4. So it's going to be kind of interesting, like how you can use Guidance in a position where you can aggressively trade, but in such a way that you're not losing your captain immediately. And then also that your Guidance 4 unit doesn't just get sniped, and then you have no Guidance 4 anymore than the enemy does. So it's gonna be wild. I haven't got that much play on this map yet, but I'm a bit afraid, not gonna lie.
Well, you need to run double Guidance is the way.
Okay.
I mean, that's...
Leviathan Joel.
Yeah, I know. Flexing on us.
You have a Katria and Rearmed Tana on the same team, and boom, you're good to go. I mean, that's... You force them to trade for their captain, and then you slide in the other unit in, and that's life is good.
Yeah, life is good indeed, I guess. Yeah, maybe not for me, who doesn't have Guidance 4. Honestly, I was super tempted to Spark for that banner, but decided against it. We'll see if I regret that or not in like 3 weeks when the next SDR rotation comes in.
Is that banner gone?
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
gosh.
rip.
Yeah, definitely. That double special heroes banner showed up last night, and I was so tempted. Oh man, I had to control myself. It was just like, no, you don't need merges on these characters, because it's like actually a pretty good share there.
Yeah.
With like Duo Askr and Boost Belt, like Black Knight. Well, Black Knight shares with stuff, which isn't really the best share, but like it's Black Knight, so I was like, ooh, okay, merge there. But yeah.
Honestly,
But even Ash and Cordelia,
Right.
I mean, that's a great share.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. Honestly, I was super tempted to try to get a Black Knight so I could just have all the fodder for Valentine's Lucina ready with like distant dart and far save. But yeah, thankfully I didn't go in there because like, again, South isn't exactly the greatest share. But yeah, in terms of like Guidance 4 on AR though, I haven't actually seen that much Guidance 4 on defense yet. That may be because of exactly the lift I have, but have you ran into any defenses that been using Guidance 4 effectively or not?
Not effectively.
Oh yeah.
I was kind of just like, oh, it's there. Okay, let me put Brave Dimitri right here. Okay, I won. Cool. I'm done.
So I had a good one right up until Armored Beacon Hector started showing up, and then he's tough to punch through. He's a mess. So yeah, I mean I've seen it done effectively. I've also seen it done ineffectively. It's very easy to bait out folks. Now in Chaos Season, I had that incredibly mean thing where it looked like you could bait out from the corner, and what would happen is the dancer would then move and dance somebody else, and so it would shift the range.
Oh. Well, that is really
So
evil.
it's one of those things, once you know the trick, it's really easy to play against, but because Guidance 4 was so new, they didn't see it coming. So
I mean, that reminds me back when like rally traps were a thing where
exactly.
yeah, like you think you're baiting out this unit, but no, like this unit comes in rally and gets danced and then attacks you. And that is something I think like Guidance 4 really helps with, like just adding that level of unpredictability for defenses, which obviously helps your defense a lot.
But if you want to see a really good one, though, in Anima, I thought Infantry Pulse did an excellent job.
Yeah, he did a great video.
Yeah, but it just, I was talking to him, like this last 6 months has played into exactly what he likes to do on defense. So, nice. With Duo Askr and, Infantry Pulse itself, the skill is back, and pulsing your team down is really good again. So, it's been fun to watch the evolution of his teams.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, we all thought IP teams were dead, especially when like Elamine came out, but now they're having a resurgence. Which, honestly, I love to see it. Like having these classic defenses back, besides like Catria Ball number 159. Like, I like to see that more variety.
Speaking of classic defenses, because I ran into a Eliwood today, and he was doing a rally trap with lunge, and I was like, "Wow, back in 2018."
I've got two things for you. The Shadow has a Conrad lunge.
What?
Team. Yeah.
Wait,
he's
what?
really beefy.
He is beefy.
So it's hilarious. He always has these things that look hilarious on the outside, and then once you start digging into him, you're like, oh God, oh no. So he's been really proud of that. The other thing that's coming back is 6 defense member defenses. So skipping the extra unit.
I saw that and I didn't know why.
Yeah.
It's pot denial. I mean that's
they're just
all about pot denial.
They're just the most evil Fate players in the game. Yeah, hate them.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, pot denials like okay, my issue with pot denial is not even that they're effective. It's that they're only effective for those that actually care about ether raids. Because those that don't, pot denial teams, they're the easiest teams in the world. But yeah, I don't really like pot denial. But yeah, I guess like to sort of round out our discussion on Guidance 4, obviously there's a lot of units that can use this skill. Which units do you think can use it the best or benefit the most from Guidance 4 or like raise in viability because of it?
I think it's the obvious one. Like it makes Catria, who is already a god, like even more god. So like, I think if you have one Guidance 4, it should go to Catria probably, because like it fits her just way too well, right? And it's crazy that she's almost 2 years old exactly. And she just got a new toy that made her already better. And she was probably the best support in the game, or at least like top 3, right? And now with this, she's even higher. So it's kind of just insane.
So all the things you said are absolutely correct. But the funny thing is she's not the best user of it. She's just a unit that you're positive is going to stick around. And she's a good user of it. And so that's why you give it to her. Like, right now, we talked about Altina. Like, Altina is an amazing user of that skill.
Yeah.
Ninja Cam. But, I'm not guaranteed that these units are going to last another year. Whereas, I, honest to God, think Bridal Catria in another year is still going to be good.
Altina's going to be good for 10 more years, If she does it, you can dial up the 1-800 Oblivion number and complain, but...
All right. You heard it here first, folks. And if that isn't true, well, I guess Oblivion can, do something in retribution.
Oh, gosh.
Send home his +10 Altina. No.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I want to take a step back here, though, because it's been interesting ever since the Engage banner, really. I feel like they have been progressing the game through skills. And I both love and hate this.
Same. I'm in the exact same boat.
Like the banners haven't been doing all that well, but that's pretty par for the course when it's fodder. But there are so many of my favorite units that I see, and I'm like, oh, I want to update them with this, and I want to update them with this, and it's neat that they can compete at a high level, but man, it makes them so expensive.
Yeah, I think that's the problem with the meta right now, is that the meta is actually pretty cool. Like, there's actually a lot of different options and like ways to be creative with the meta, but it requires expensive skills, which just means that a majority of people will not be creative, right? Most people are just going like, hey, I don't want to spend 200 orbs to get this one character so I can kill them to give a skill to this other character so that I can have fun again, right? Like, most people don't want to do that, so it's rough. Because I think at the highest levels of ether rates, when you get those, you know, top 100, 200 players, when you have those good weeks, if you have a lot of merges, you see some really creative defenses that are just horrifying, that take advantage of like duo Elise, you know, guidance 4, stuff like that, or like even like duo Askr and stuff, and like it gets cool, but like you're not going to see that at the lower levels of ether rates because it's just so expensive.
Right, and honestly, I feel the same way because for like most players, I would imagine in ether rates, for example, the meta has been like super stale for a year, maybe a year and a half by now. And even though like all these new skills like really shake up the meta in, I think, a really cool way, like it's just doing this through fodder is not exactly as going to be as prevalent as, say, like a defense mythic or, you know, a unit that's super popular or accessible. Because for the longest time, for free-to-play players, the advice was like, you should never summon just for fodder. You can always make do without it. Which, to a certain extent, I still believe is true, but it does mean you miss out on a lot of the cool stuff that is happening, which, again, I do think is like actually really cool and really interesting.
I want IS to learn to do half measures. you know what I mean? It's like this is really neat, but you could intersperse it.
Yes.
Like instead of just like 3-4 months of straight fodder, like you know, every other banner, something like that. It would feel better that way. I don't understand why they can't seem to find balance. You know, it's just all or nothing for them.
I mean, IS works in phases, right? You know, we have player phase, enemy phase. Now we have the skill phase. we had the dragon phase a while back. But yeah, oh, go ahead.
I feel like they have like 4 designers and they just each take turns. Like, okay, Bob, you done doing your dragon design? Like, yeah, I'm done my dragon design. Oh, okay, I'm gonna do a bunch of skills. Okay, cool. It's like, after that, what are you gonna do? I don't know. Maybe like I'll do some engage banners finally. It's like, okay, cool.
I think it's exactly that, but it's as soon as the income falls below a certain level, they're like, oh, all right, I guess I'm getting kicked out next.
When that happens, they're like, hey, make another corn alt. It's always in like Halloween or around there later in the year. Release that corn alt. We need some money.
Yeah, I will say though, like, I do think like having new skills is ultimately good for the game, and I mean, people are very excited about, you know, shiny new toys for their favorite units. Excuse me. But yeah, it is a bit difficult to like keep up, I guess, if you're not like summoning specifically for fodder.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, how old is Peony now?
Oh my gosh, I don't even want to know. I feel old.
Anyway, it's like it is years. Is it
3.5 years?
I think it's 4.
Yeah, 3.5 years, something like that.
It's book 7 right now, so yeah, like 3-ish years, 3+ years.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So I have that old of a unit who's now completely wailed out and is just absolutely dominating things. It's really neat until you stop and think about all the orbs that I spent to update her.
I mean,
absolutely.
You chose to do that. I don't think Peony needs the updated skills to do well. At least in ether rates.
Oh, definitely not. But my God, it's Guidance 4, Firestorm Dance. Yeah, she is a monster right now. It's amazing.
Well, you need to put her up for Forging Bonds so I can get that.
Yeah, or like Binding Worlds, yeah.
Binding Worlds, that's what I meant, Binding Worlds.
Yeah. She's up there right now.
Okay.
Like I'm yeah.
Come on, RNGesus. Sign me up.
Yeah, if like IS could release one for free, that would be really great. Please. Thank you.
For free. I mean, if you could use more than one per time, then I think they could do that. But right now, it's only one per time, so I don't know why. I don't think they'll ever do it until they change that.
Yeah, I guess.
Because it's like, right? Because I mean, like, then no one needs to buy it for that whole time. So you just lost like, I don't know, $1 million, probably more than $1 million.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I'm like in the same boat though with like Alm, right? Like Alm is from 2019, I think, and if you didn't catch that stream I did where I updated his kit, that was a very expensive kit upgrade. That legendary Yuri cost me like 600 orbs to get that hex blade. So yeah, it was definitely not cheap, but that was kind of my fault. But well, kind of. Anyway, it's not cheap to do that though, right? Like you don't really need it. Alm can work fine with attack speed ideal, but man, does Hexblade feel good? It feels really good. So that's I think that's like the kind of the direction we're heading right now, where it's just like these skills feel so good compared to like older tier 4 skills do. Like imagine like Swift Sparrow 2 to Swift Sparrow 3, right? Not that big of a difference. Like it's some more stats. It feels good. But when you're like going from like Close Call 3 to Close Call 4, oh man. You're getting all those phantom speed built in. You're getting more damage reduction. You can really feel it when you start playing with that compared to the older ones, and it's nice. It feels good. So, and it feels even better when you're using it on your favorite. So, I think that's the direction they're heading right now. I hope that they do slip in some banners with some popular characters, like maybe Diamant or something. But who knows? Right.
Please.
We might just get like Shaz of Valencia, and it's just like the character you don't like at all, but it has like the best skill in the game. Okay. Well, time to kill Grandpa and get some good skills.
Yeah. Oh no, Jesse, I'm sorry, but we need like sorry to like the 2 Jesse fans out there, but I'm sorry. But yeah, like I actually really like the new like effects these skills have been having. Like like I think have been doing a really good job being creative on that. And I mean, sure, it would be nice to also have popular characters too. Please engage Yunaka. But
that would sell so well.
I know. Oh my goodness. Okay. We're gonna keep talking about Engage banner throughout this entire thing. But there's
everyone wants it. Everyone wants it. Like, come on, let's do this thing.
But yeah. Anyway, speaking of the theory of arcane Alchrist with the bow, that was not the rearmed hero that got the arcane bow. We had rearmed Tana in the Sacred Stones banner. And I know, Joel, you are like very, very positive on this unit. Right?
She's amazing. Well, okay, so she's amazing is the wrong word. She's really good, and she comes with the right fodder.
Yes, definitely.
And so she's situationally good, but it's the situations she's good at are really nice. And so the fact that she's rearmed and that you can keep her after you fodder her, it makes her very useful. Unlike Ophelia, I thought was just a unit. Whereas I feel like this one, that B skill is amazing, like that warp ability.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm very high on the unit, but it's more the right place, right time,
They really need to make sure that every rearmed hero has a preference skill, because I feel like Ophelia is such a good-looking unit, like art-wise, and her fodder is like ridiculous. But then when you get to her actual gameplay, like she just doesn't have that thing that makes her stand out. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's disappointing.
Yeah, like you can literally inherit her kit to Lilina and get Lilina to +10, and boom, there's Ophelia basically. Like there's other than the fodder, there's no reason to really like invest in Ophelia. Besides, again, like the insane foddering session you did.
Well, go one step further. You could inherit her kit to regular Ophelia, and you have a better unit.
Yeah, I guess you can. Yeah, maybe not the tome, but like everything else.
Right,
yeah,
everything else. Yeah,
like you get the pre-charge special and everything, and actually you're right, Joel. I haven't thought about that. Oh my gosh.
I actually had a commenter who was named Ophelia in my comment section, and they were mad at me because I killed Ophelia in my stream. I'm trying to explain to them, like, no, it's a rearmed hero, so it's fine, right? It's fine. And they're like, no, you don't understand. You just took all the cool things about Ophelia and gave it to everybody else. Now she's not special. And I was like, oh, oops, sorry.
Yeah. The Luminary of the Stars deserves the best, Oblivion. Surely you know that. Man, I think like a preference special would have just been so good for her. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Keep all the remaining fodder, and that preference special makes her unique. Like an infantry legendary Veronica or something. I think that would have been really cool.
Gosh. That would be horrifying.
I think it would be cool, but I'm the person that really liked the not line meta, so I guess I don't really know much. But yeah, other than Rearmed Tana, the only other unit I felt that was really notable in the Sacred Stones banner was, I think, Gilliam, who had an effect similar to like Shell, where you had like massive debuffs on your attack. How do you all think Gilliam compares to other save units like Shell or any other meta save?
He's really good. Like, he's a really good save unit. The thing is just like, at this point in the game, because saves have been around for such a long time, right? Everyone has a save unit already. Everyone's invested into a save unit already. So it's like, unless you really love Gilliam, like, is he good enough where you're gonna reinvest all that fodder and dragon flowers and everything else into them? Typically, no. I think that's the problem right now. It's just everyone's kind of burnt out on having too many saves. But, you know, at the same time, Baby Hector comes out, and I'm like, Hector, time to do it again. So, I don't know.
Well, it's twofold, right? I mean, the first is it's really expensive, and is your +0 Gilliam better than your +10 decked out Brave Hector?
Right.
And I think the answer there is no. I mean, that's in a vacuum, like a +0 Gilliam is better than a +0 Brave Hector. But the investment's tough.
Right.
The other thing is, I mean, saves, we're to a point where you're only using them in half of Aether raids because Emblem exists. And so that devalues them as well. And so as a unit archetype, they are not as good. I'm not going to say they're bad because that's just ridiculous. They're really powerful units, but they've definitely lost some value because of Emblem.
I pretty much only use saves on defense and summoner duels. That's pretty much the only place I use them.
Same.
So
yeah,
that's kind of the value for me. Speaking of saves, right? We have to talk about, Armored Bacon a little bit because Armored Bacon is amazing. And this is the reason why I was mad. It's erosion season because we just got Armored Bacon and I wanted to play with it off of Mortis. Ias has to go and ruin my plans.
Did you get an extra copy for Femortis?
We're not going to talk about how many orbs that cost or how... it was painful. That was the worst summoning session I've probably had in like a year at least. Like, I didn't get anything. Like, it was just no 5 stars. If I did get a 5-star, it was Rebecca. And I was just like, cool. Awesome. But yeah, so I wanted to play with Armored Bacon on Femortis because I think it's ridiculous on him. It's so cool. And it's so cool to get specials like that, right? It's kind of like with Battle Askr. When Battle Askr came out, everybody was like, my sword unit's fun again. And everyone like went and pulled their sword unit out of the closet, dusted them off, gave them Battle Askr, and like it just made the game kind of fun, right? So I think that's kind of the same. I mean, your armor unit isn't probably dusty because you use them all the time, but you can't give them a new toy.
The thing I love about it is I feel like there is some fun counterplay there. In that it's not like Hardy Fighter where it's always up. You can actually get them out of sync, and then suddenly the armor is killable. And so I think it promotes creative play, which is great. It's not just an invincible skill.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah, like that was one of my biggest issues with Hardy Fighter Aegis. Is like there's very little you can do to get through a good Hardy Fighter Far Save unit unless you have like Katria or something. But like with Armored Beacon, it's definitely a competitive option to Hardy Fighter Aegis and it's still really hard, but it doesn't feel like as impossible, at least from what I've experienced. That could be like the units I've been facing aren't exactly the most optimized, but I mean, I feel like Armored Beacon is just a lot more fun to both use and to face against.
Yeah, I agree.
I would, yeah, definitely.
I think the other thing too is like we've been in a meta for over a year, right? Where or maybe a little bit less than a year, where like in summoner duels you just like, hey, here's my far save, and guess what they are? They're a shield. That's all they are. They don't do anything. Yep. They don't have distant counter. They don't get a hit back, right? They're just like here to die, right? And I mean that works in the meta, but don't you love watching your favorite armor unit kill people? Like everybody does, right? So getting to use Armor Beacon again, it kind of gives you that option where you can go back to the distant counter gameplay, which is cool. I think that's cool just to have, right? You don't necessarily have to, but it's an option.
Yeah. Like, Armor Beacon is definitely, like, not something you need for Summoners Duels or anything like that, but it's usable, and, like, I think that's amazing, right? Like, you have a super fun option that will allow you to do really well, but also something that, you know, if you don't have the orbs to summon for it, you don't need to. And I think that's like, just like perfect in terms of like balance when it comes to these skills.
And it'll definitely be frustrating for some folks because you have to know what you're playing against. Right. I was playing I was doing some favor farming last week, and there were teams that he just stalemated, and that's frustrating. But I feel like if once people know how it works a little better, it'll kind of balance itself out.
Definitely. Who would you say are the best users of Armored Beacon?
I mean, Hector himself is really good. Like, this unit is such a good save unit. That massive, what's like minus 22 to attack is so ridiculous. Like, it actually makes it so he can like just like, he's like, what's up, Veronica? And Veronica's like, I can hit really hard. And like, not when you have minus 22 attack and she just hits you in the face. Like, can she kill Hector? Sure, but it's not easy. You know what I mean? And like, I'm sure plus 10 Hector must be horrifying. I think he's really, really good with it. And also, like, obviously, I've been, Fomortis has been fun with it as well.
Okay, and I there's other people on that list, but I want to stop you right there. So, someone in my comments told me that I was building young Hector wrong, and what he actually wants is seal attack 4, because then you get minus 27 attack on your opponent. I was like,
Edelgard,
God,
that's interesting.
That's just evil.
I wonder how well that actually works, though.
Yeah. I think it could work well, but it's hard to tell, like, without testing it out.
Right.
Well, he was talking specifically about summoner duels, and I think in summoner duels it could definitely work. Elsewhere, I don't think that's something you want to do. But I think for summoner duels, that's really interesting.
Definitely
but
not.
In summoner duels, you have a little more control over your pulsing down your unit. So
right,
definitely.
But yeah, like, obviously young Hector uses it really well. Fomortis does really well. Like, honestly, if I had Armor Beacon, if I had 2 Armor Beacons, I'd probably like toss one over to like Brave Hector just to bring him back from the bench, because I think he works really well with that. I saw the Sims you did, Joel, and if I had the fodder, I would definitely be super tempted to try that.
My problem is that I want Special Spider 4 for him, but it's on Winter Black Knight, and I'm like, I can't kill Black Knight. Like, that's blasphemy. So I'm like, can you release a Fates banner with Special Spider 4, please? Like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Oh man, it'll be on Armored Diamant.
Oh, Joel.
But the units that use it well, it's actually a pretty small list. Like, it's fun to put it on a lot of different units, but it's like Gilliam, Ascendant Athun, I think uses it decently, and then Brave Hector and Young Hector and Fomortis. Like those are like your heavy hitters that you'd want it on.
So
have you guys seen it on ranged heroes? Because I know in the Sims it didn't go so well, but Sims. I mean, they're good for some things, but they're not good for the final answer.
Right.
Definitely.
I mean, I haven't seen it on any ranged units yet. I think folks are still like adjusting to the fact that, oh hey, ranged armors actually got something this time. But yeah, unfortunately I haven't really seen it in practice yet.
Yeah, I haven't either. I've only seen it on Hector, that's it.
I mean, it comes back to like, obviously the skill is super new, so only one unit has it, but that unit is still really good. So you don't really want to fodder off Armored Beacon. So yeah, I guess it comes back to that like skill exclusivity that we were talking about before.
I mean, like Hector just took back like supremacy of the distant counter, right? It was kind of like Brave Hector was still technically the best, I think, with 4 attack, 4 defense, but like getting minus whatever to all stats is just so stupidly good. Like, that's like, okay, that's a real distant counter skill. We need more of those.
Right. What do you think is the prerequisites armors would need to have to be a good user of Armored Beacon? Because we did mention that obviously like not all armors are most effective with it. So
the biggest thing I've seen is those rain skills. I think those are so heavy in the meta right now. They're very subversive. Like I didn't even notice they were coming in. That's why I didn't notice Gateau at all. I didn't realize how big he debuffed the opponent's attack.
Right.
And that's immediately when I saw that on Hector, I was like, oh wait, I've seen this before.
Right.
I'm not gonna miss this one again. The only reason that I like it on Brave Hector versus Young Hector is you get rid of the armor. You get rid of that armor weakness because Young Hector still has the weakness to duochrome. And I mean, everyone has a duochrome. So that's tough. But in general though, I'd really look for those rain skills. And I think we're gonna get more of those on armors coming up.
I think another one's like special acceleration, right? I think that's really good too. So you can actually pop it off. That's why like Special Fighter 4 on Brave Hector, like Femortis has it built in naturally, right? Or like Vengeful Fighter 4 on Young Hector, which isn't my favorite skill, but it works there. I think that's another thing to look for. But yeah, I kind of agree. I think Brave Hector, why Brave Hector is just so good is he just has like all of his bases covered for like the foundational stuff you want. And so as more skills come out, it just like makes it better again, which is like kind of crazy considering how old he is.
Yeah, like when did he get his for finals? Like 2019, right? Or something like that? 2020?
No, it was 2019, I think.
2019. That's like 4 years ago. And he's still in the conversation for like one of the best far saves, if not like a great far save. That's crazy.
It was 2020. It was 2020. Because
3 years, but still.
It's really, I mean, it's amazing. Like when you get a unit like that, right? That's
and
the
as a
unit
tank,
you want to invest in, right? As a tank too. Like that's with Battle Catcher too, right? Like I've talked to a few people and they're like, I sacrificed my Brave Battle Catcher for Trace, and I'm like, I feel so bad for you. I don't even know how to explain it. Like you just threw away a gold mine for like a $5 bill. Like I don't know. Like it's. So when you do see those units, right? Those are the units you want to invest in. Those are the units that are must pools, in my opinion, right? I know that not everyone agrees that there are must pools in FEH. I don't think there are many, but I think that Brow Catcher is like definitely at the top of that list if there is one, right? I mean, Winter Cordelia is there too. You could use her as like a substitute, but like you want one of them at the least, in my opinion.
Who else is on your list? Must-haves.
Altina.
All right. I'll be the first okay, go ahead.
I do think you want a dancer that gives 3 movement. I don't think that's like a must-have maybe, but like I feel like it's so good in so many situations, and it's really just applicable in a lot of places too. It's become less applicable than it was before, but like either Legendary Zura or Hatari Zura. Hatari Zura is obviously the better of the two in my opinion, but just having a 3-movement dancer is really, really nice for just everything. So I always like having that. I'm trying to think of what else is a must-have. I think Duochrome is really close too, because I feel like Duochrome just fits everywhere. So I think he's up there. And then if you're playing Summoner Duels in particular, just Summoner Duels, I think Duothor's a must-have. Like I think she's just so ridiculously powerful. Like, and she's just like the boogeyman of that format. So I feel like not having her, you can make do without having her. But having her just makes it so much easier to do so many things. It's like almost like putting an auto ban on one of your teams in SDS that you just don't have to worry about, which is so nice.
Right. Yeah, like, I guess the correct term, to talk about this would be like the most valuable units you can have in FEH, which actually, that's a really good video idea. I'm going to note that down. But for SD specifically, I think, Katria, Dual Thor, Dual Crom, even if you don't use him all the time, like, there's definitely units that make it a lot easier to succeed in Summoner's Duels. You can do it without, but it will definitely help you. And yeah, Dual Thor, I definitely agree, is one of those.
For me, the only thing I'd add to that list would be the Mythic Dancers. And you can do it without. I mean, Oblivion, you don't really have Peony, but I mean, that's they make the mode so much easier.
Actually, I actually do have Peony now, but that's very, very recent. And I can tell you firsthand, as a person who has played like with plus 10 dagger and air, oh man, getting a plus, I don't know what she is, 6 or something Peony. Oh, it's so much easier. Everything's so nice. Like, I was like, man, I was playing on like ultra hard mode this entire time, right? My mythics do nothing pretty much except for give resistance. So I'm like, oh yeah. So, Peony, if you have a chance to merge her up, definitely recommend it. Plumeria, if you have a chance to merge her up, definitely recommend it. They might be old units. They're still super fantastic. And their refines have made Peony really well. And I'm sure Plumeria's refine will be good at the very least, right?
Yeah, and Peony is on the remix banners now. So it's super accessible to merge her up. So definitely recommend. I still say that Peony is the best light mythic in light season. And that's,
I agree.
Yeah.
Even considering the fact that she doesn't unlock the 7th slot. It's actually insane. But yeah.
I've had many conversations about this. She will be the best until another dancer comes along.
Right.
Period.
Yeah, I agree. And it's gonna be some crazy dancer. It's gonna be like it's gonna be Brave Seliph dressed in a dress with like fairy wings, and he's gonna have 4 movement. And it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be like, oh my gosh, why'd they make this?
Do y'all remember
he both dances and changes fate?
Oh my gosh! Oh my! Stop! We need to stop this right now before Ayas gets any ideas.
Oh man! Oh, what did they do? Okay, so the ninja banner, right? New ninja banner. We get a new duo hero. It's a 3 movement dancer, but their duo skill lets them activate and give them another action, but with only dancing, right? So they don't have to attack like Lyn or like Corrin. They just have to dance. That would be really cool too. They should do that.
I would actually love that so much.
And they have the animation of dancing Xander.
That would be good.
Yes.
They should do that. You heard us, IS. Make it happen.
Okay, I feel like we got a little bit sidetracked, but that's okay. Obviously, yeah. But I guess circling back, we mentioned like Dual Thor and like those most valuable units and whatnot. We did get another dual unit as part of this young banner with young Hector, and that is young Mark, which I don't think any of us were expecting to get.
No, I did not. It did not. I'm so excited because I never thought Mark would make it in the game. But the thing that made me even like kind of like scratch my head was just like, how did Mark get in the game before Athos and Nurgle? Like, Athos is like one of the most important characters to the lore of that game and in the game itself. And Nurgle's the main villain of the first Western Fire Emblem we've ever gotten. And yet somehow Mark made it in first, doesn't even have like a picture you can see in the game.
Right. So
seeing everyone's reactions to that character that was some of the most fun reaction content that
Absolutely.
I've seen. Like,
yes.
I loved it. It was
gosh.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I was so confused because I haven't played FE7. So, but I knew about Mark just from osmosis from the fandom. But I've always thought he was just like a background character. So when he actually was in the game, I was like, wait, is he an actual, are they an actual character? Like, are they actually that like present throughout the story? But apparently not, right?
No. No.
So I was like, what's going on?
It's like in chapter 1, and then like partway through the game, and then the end of the game. Like Lynn will be like, "Hey, Mark," and then she'll talk to you, and that's it. That's like that's the whole thing.
Wait, that's it?
That's pretty much it. Yeah. Like Lynn will be like, "Hey, I just met you. You just woke up." It's kind of like a Robin situation. "Hey, I'm gonna find some bandits. You want to help me?" And he's like, "Okay, I'll give you strategy." Like he doesn't even say that, but like she assumes that. And then like halfway through the game, when you beat Lynn's thing, it's like, "Cool, Mark, thanks for helping me out." And then at the end of the game, Elwood's like, "Thanks, Mark, you're the best." And that's like pretty much it. That's Mark.
Wait, I was still here out the entire time? What? Oh boy, I need to play that game sometime. But anyways, a lot of us had like very interesting impressions on Mark when he was first reviewed in the trailer. How would you say he compares now versus our initial impressions? Because I will say, I think he was a lot better than I thought he was going in.
I can't tell yet. Like I haven't seen enough gameplay, and he has all the right pieces. But as Oblivion just keeps pounding the table, the duo skill is just so limited in range.
Right.
And that's tough. But he hits really hard. Like way harder than I thought he was going to. It's been interesting. And he's a good support in that he debuffs the entire other team. So he's an excellent unit outside of the duo skill.
Right.
As long as you can get him into position, which the problem is what turn, right? Like ideally you'd have like top of turn 2.
Right.
That is the perfect time to hit your debuffing duo skill.
Yeah.
And you won't be able to do that on every map with him. And so consistency is going to be an issue.
Right.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that the thing is, like Joel said, I just don't know yet, because for me, whenever you get a new duo unit, they don't get, like, you can do some testing, right? You can do some basic testing, but you don't really get to throw them into the fire and see how good they are until an SD event. When an SD event comes, you're like, okay, it's time to see how good you really are. Because not only am I going to be using you, but I'm going to probably end up playing against you a ton. And then I can see from both sides how influential this unit really is. So until I see that, I can't really say for sure. But he does seem better than I thought.
And the ideas compound off of each other. You're like, oh, I saw you do that. Well, I can do this. And it explodes.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons why I initially underrated him a bit was I completely misread what the sabotage status effect actually did. I didn't realize it was in combat debuffs as opposed to visible debuffs. And so when I realized that 2 days later or something, I was like, oh wait, that's actually a lot of debuffs, a lot more than I thought. But yeah, I still don't think he's better than Dual Thor or anything like that. But for those that don't have Dual Thor, aka me, I think he'll be a good option as an alternative. Obviously, I think personally you'd much rather have Summer Thor, but I think Mark can fit in as an alternative. Maybe that's just me coping though.
No, I think you're right. I think he's definitely an alternative. He's like a side grade is how I would see him for sure.
I've been using him on Aetherraid's offense next to Gateau this season, and he's really good. It's been a lot of fun. What I want to see is him on defense, and I haven't seen anyone use that yet.
I think he.
So that's that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think he can be interesting on defense, but the problem is, one, his effect requires you to be within 5 range, which can be maneuvered around theoretically. It's not global Yune is. And so say, you put Mark in there for the debuffs and for Canto control to prevent Gale Force or something from Ninjorin. Well, you can just smite Ninjorin in and she won't have the debuffs because you're outside of his range, I think. Have to see it in action first, but it's just in defense, I feel there's a lot more counterplay to his effects than when it's in your control. At least that's just my initial impressions. Again, I haven't seen Dual Mark yet.
Me either, not on defense. I am seeing a lot of debuffs on defense now, though, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's time to bring back Fallen Ike. Like, maybe I just Unity stack him to all hell and see how well he performs.
Oh, you haven't seen?
I've seen Nico Tobin do it, but I haven't seen it like on like against tier 1, like like the highest ranking teams, and see how he handles that. Because the problem with Fallen Ike is, and Brave Demetria anyway, is that you always have that weakness to Duo Elise, right? The Flash Staff. That's why I like Lucia so much, because she doesn't have that weakness. And when you get early in the week, it's fine, but when you get later in the week, it's just like Duo Elise map, not Duo Elise map, Duo Elise map. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to figure out a way to like deal with this, right? So at least when my defense is doing good. When my defense is terrible, I'm like, hey, I get to chill this week.
So there's a member of the Discord that runs, and this is only on Earth Season. Earth Season is where you're really going to enjoy using him, but runs Triple Unity Ike. And Triple Unity Ike just eats stuff for breakfast. Like, doesn't even care about Elise because she's only going to hit him once.
Right.
And this is Ayin in the server, and he's very, very proud of his Fallen Ike.
Yeah, I think it's time to update Fallen Ike, and then he gets a refine probably the beginning of next year. I think, if I did my math right, I think it's around there, or like the end of this year, somewhere around that area. So like, imagine if he gets something good with all that Unity stacking. Oh man, him and Robin are gonna be best friends. It's gonna be great.
The problem you're gonna run into is he needs attack speed Unity.
That's the only reason why I haven't used him yet.
Yeah.
We need more attack speed Unity fodder, please, IS. Like, I know we just had Tana, but we can have more, please.
I'm telling you, like they need to do. They didn't let me design the banners, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna release 10 Fate banners in a row. It's gonna have all the fodder I want on it, and then I'm gonna just have like the best time ever. I'm gonna be like, okay, time to rebuild the whole barracks.
I guess that's why all the Fates fans don't want you to have designed the banners.
I mean, they'll get all their favorite characters. It'll just be at the price of them dying,
Yeah. I guess to bring this the Young Elite banner to a bit of a close. Do you think Young Mark will be SDR viable? Like, place your bets now. If you had to bet $1 or something, would you say he would be viable in SDR, or will it just be for SDS?
I think it's map dependent. I think there'll be maps where he will be SDR viable, but it's gonna be maps where you don't get aggressed on turn 1, right? It's not easy to aggress on turn 1, and you can set up easily for turn 2 where you can actually hit the duo skill, because then I think he is SDR viable. But if that situation is not there, then I don't think he makes the cut, because SDR is just you're just picking 5 of the best units you want, right? So it's very, very hard to get into that top category.
I took the words right out of my mouth. It's very map dependent. But man, on that map that he is good, DTM is just going to dominate.
Let's hope so.
Oh man.
All right. I guess moving on, there's one final banner that has been released since we last talked, and that is Legendary Yuri, which I think all of us somehow missed being a Legendary candidate. At least I did.
I did.
I completely forgot he was an option. But it's really cool. And I think we both mentioned at some point that, he's around 20% better than base OG Yuri. I guess around two weeks since he was released. Do you think that accurately reflects how strong he is in the current meta?
Definitely. I mean, and that's still good. It just I was having a conversation with this in the Discord, and it's the thing is, we think of Yuri when he first came out, like pre-Kanto Control. And that's, at that time, Yuri was the unit.
Right.
And since Kanto Control, Yuri is still good. Like, I still see Yuri all the time. I see him used effectively all the time.
Right.
So this is a good unit that is now 20% better, and that's great. But he's not he's not original release Yuri without Canto control.
Right.
So I think that's the bar that people are measuring him against instead of thinking about Yuri now.
I'm actually a little bit higher on him now than I was before. I've been playing with him a bit, and the thing was, right, like I didn't really take into full account how good he could be in SDS with Askr. Duo Askr and Yuri are best friends. You should just put them together all the time. Because it's kind of like with Katie and Lynn, right? We have Katie and Lynn. What makes Katie and Lynn so good is that she offers support, right? But the other thing is that she can AoE really, really well. I think people underestimate how good that 20% AoE true damage is. And Yuri has that as well. And the thing is, he's not that much different from Katie and Lynn, right? Because Katie and Lynn doesn't have access to time spools. She's a Cav. And neither does Legendary Yuri. So you put him with Askr, right? And it's pretty easy to get that pre-charged AoE. But the cool thing is, he's much more mobile, right? He's much more safe than a Katie and Lynn. Katie and Lynn, you essentially send in, you do your AoE, you say goodbye to Katie and Lynn, say, hey, it's been fun, you're gonna die. Yuri, you can actually get out of there, right? And the thing is that cancel control is not as prominent as it once was. Now, the big thing I'm gonna say right now is, we're going into erosion season. So it's gonna come back, like this is gonna be the cancel control season if there is one. But typically, it's not as prevalent as it was before. So I think he's actually pretty good in SDS or SDR with that AoE build in particular. I think it just does a lot more damage than people expect it does. And it also has this B-slot.
I'm gonna disagree with you only on the Canto control being not as prevalent because we just had Robin, who's going to be prevalent in SDS because he's really good, and then we also have Mark.
Right.
So now you have everyone had it on Crom, and then you have two other units now that are that folks can have it on. So
that's true.
I think it's actually more prevalent now. We also had Celine, who is in the standard pool, who had it as well. So it is much more. It is much easier to get than it used to be.
Mm-hmm. That's actually fair. Yeah, that's totally fair. Yeah.
Everything else you said though, exactly right. Like I'm 100% on board. Like Yuri is a very good unit.
I think the other thing too though is like his B slot being open is actually way better than people think it is, right? Because like the thing is with Yuri before in SD is a lot of times you would just put no follow up there, or like a lull maybe at the most. But then him lacking NFU would be critical sometimes. And now that you just have that, you can have that B slot be tempo, right? Tempo is really good for lethality. Like it's really, really strong. That people kind of sleep on that. And then also you could do Special Spiral 4 too. In SD, I'm not the biggest fan of Special Spiral 4 unless you're going for like low cooldown specials to get through the DR, right? With AoEs, it's kind of like you already shot your shot. Just move on. Like no point trying to go for 2.
Yeah, and having tempo on his B definitely helps with like his major weakness, which is like one, he doesn't have tempo in his weapon, and also like he doesn't really have any form of special acceleration himself. So being able to more consistently get those specials is always a good thing.
And I think they work well in conjunction, like Katie and Lynn and Yuri, and then Askr, and then you have one of them be the piercing and one of them be the AoE. Special Spiral for Luna performs not as good as lethality, but it is similar. Like it's a very good combo.
Right. One interesting thing, like that OG Yuri, Canto control was definitely a big knock on him. I think the bigger or another contributing factor to that was Summer Thor being released, and we actually have a unit that was good with the stall effect. I'm sorry, all the Riven fans, but it's the truth, or the Reef fans. His C skill is interesting in that it doesn't, completely negates the stall effect, but it also doesn't leave you with like the gravity effect that stall would normally get. It only like makes you go back to 2 movement. What are your thoughts on this mechanic, I guess?
I mean, it's good. I think it's really good. Like, I think it's fair, right? Like, I think that's what they, like you were saying earlier, Jolos, those like half steps. I think that's what they did here, and I think it's good. That's what you should do, right? Instead of like doing something insane where it's like, hey, you get hit by stall, now you get 4 movement. Like, that's what I feel like they would normally do. They're like, hey, we're gonna just, not go ridiculous. Imagine that. Oh man, that would change up the meta quite a bit. Because now you're like, if I bring Summer Thor, there's actually a downside. Or Mark, I guess, too.
Yeah.
I think that would actually like get Summer Thor out of the meta because like I feel like you just run like Legendary Yuri and you either have 3 movement or 4 movement. There's literally no downside. And so he'll just be everywhere, and so you can't use Summer Thor again.
It'd be interesting, that's for sure.
That's a word. Interesting. Yeah, that's
Interesting.
But
I mean, Yuri Bird.
no, to your point. To your point, I think you're exactly right. This is a spot where they had a nice reaction here. This is it makes him another 2-range unit, which is fine. You can still play around it. It's always frustrating when you have a team that's just completely countered by something,
Right.
and it's not fun. So they did a good job.
Yeah. Gotta give one out for IS for this one. So that's always cool to see. Seems a bit rare these days, but we take those wins when we can. Speaking of the wins, personally, I think this month's Refined batch was a huge win. Not biased at all, but we can talk about the Refines. Mainly, I think the only 2 ones that are that interesting are Alfonse and Edelgard. And I guess we can talk about Alfonse first. We'll save the best for last. I personally saw the Refine sort of like dual Askr, but obviously not as good, I think. But yeah, I mean, I still think that would be really respectable, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think they kind of went more combat oriented a little bit, right? Because dual Askr does have, or dual Alfonse, I should say, does have this preference like bonfire. So that's kind of cool that they kind of leaned into that a bit more, giving him that flat damage reduction, and then letting him do some more damage. His dual skill's obviously not going to be as good as Askr's in most situations, and he also does an open domain, which is a big deal.
Right.
I think it makes him very usable, which is like what you want for a Refine at the most, right?
Right.
Because typically you're not going to get the Refine that pushes the unit to the top of the meta, right? You're not going to get a Legendary Eliwood or a Yoon Refine or something like that, right?
Brave Hector.
So getting a Brave Hector's the best, yeah, exactly. So being right there, I think is a good place to be. I think honestly, if you're an Alphonse fan, it's you have nothing to complain about. You should be very, very happy with it.
Yeah, it was solid. I mean, that's if you have duo Askr, you're using him over dual Alphonse. But
right.
I mean, if you got a dual Alphonse, it makes him viable in a lot of different ways. So, yeah. I mean, you pretty well said it.
Do you think he's viable enough for SDS?
Yeah. I mean, people were already using him in SDS already, right?
I guess that's true, yeah.
-2 special cooldown infantry is really strong, especially with combination of units that need that cooldown, like base Yuri, right? Base Yuri could use Alphonse and get lethality to 1 cooldown, and then he's pretty much good to go. So I think he is usable in SDS. SDR, absolutely not, right?
Right.
But in SDS, you can definitely build teams to take advantage of all of Alphonse's strengths, not weaknesses.
You think about SDS, the big thing, infantry units are on the rise, right? I mean, Guidance 4 is infantry and armored. And so those are the units that right now folks are kind of using a little bit more of. And that's who he accelerates their cooldown on. So I definitely SDS. I'm for it.
Yeah, infantry are just ridiculous. I've been working on some sims and stuff, and I'm just infantry have so many advantages over everybody else. It's kind of stupid. It's kind of getting out of hand.
Yeah, definitely agree. For a time, there was a moment when armors were the new best or whatever, but I feel we're back into infantry normal. And I feel that's always been the state of FEH, besides that one moment, which, yeah, because infantry keeps getting all these new skills and effects that benefit only infantry or infantry plus some other unit types. And yeah, honestly, very interesting to see that.
I mean, we're in a meta right now where a lot of the damage we do comes from specials, right? Mm-hmm. And the thing is, infantry just get all the tools for specials that other units don't, right? They get Times Pulse, they get Special Spiral 4, they get access to tempo. It's just whatever you need for specials, you could put it on an infantry unit. Now, maybe you don't get all the things you want, but you can get a lot of it, and you can play around with it. Well, a lot of other units might get one, right? Like armors get special spiral 4. Woo! Yeah, like, right? But that's pretty much
Right.
it. So they just have so many advantages. It's just ridiculous. And Hexblade, too. Hexblade just came out, right? And now every physical infantry unit, right, can take advantage of Hexblade. Adaptive damage is really powerful. Like, I've been playing with it. It's stupid, right? And being able to just inherit that and have it with a very easy condition, right? Having a magic ally on your team, that's pretty much nothing. It just makes infantry even better.
Yeah, totally agree. Like, definitely agree with all of that. Special Spiral 4, like, tempo, all of that. Infantry just gets the goods when it comes to specials. Also, Edelgard got the goods when it comes to her refine. Okay, I have to talk about this as the resident Edelgard fan. Edelgard getting Raging Storm is absolutely awesome, and I've been having a lot of fun with her so far. Like, I actually did a match with the triple Edelgard Gale Force team, and yeah, it actually worked really well, and I'm so happy about it. Like,
I mean, she got a great refine. I do wish it was a bit different. First of all, I wish they would have changed a clause on the base weapon, where it's like whole like more allies than or more foes than allies or whatever. That's just so unnecessary. Like, we're past that. Let's move on. Like, make it if unit initiates or solo, right? Easy, done. You just cut out like 5 sentences. Like,
I believe the base effect changed from that ally thing to that ally thing, or if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I just feel like you don't even need
okay,
that,
but
though.
I'm personally, I'm a little disappointed. I expected when DTM took off with his little monologue that, we were going to be sitting here for 10 minutes. And I feel like that was just like, she's great. She's really great. Yeah, she's great.
Okay.
Come on now.
This is supposed to be a conversation here. If you want me
I think
to,
me and Oblivion.
If you want,
I think me and Oblivion were both ready to just like we're like, okay, this is your favorite. Like, it is your time. Go man, go.
If you want me to, I could really go on about everything. Like, obviously, being triple action is super amazing. I'm the resident triple action Gale Forcer, and so like, yeah, this just completely fits my play style. And I love how Raging Storm is, and then it's gonna be like 20 minutes later. But anyways, but yeah, like, Raging Storm is really cool. The one thing I do wish is that Raging Storm did not need to have Edelgard be solo, because that definitely limits her capabilities of being a follow-up Gale Forcer. Not impossible. There are ways to like get around that, but it definitely, I think, makes it a lot harder than it needed to be.
Right, because you pretty much need to proc Gale Force first, and then use the other action second, right?
Yes. And
right, which makes it much more difficult.
Yeah,
or have Guidance 4 on Peony.
Okay, Joel.
I guess. This is just the advertisement to get Guidance 4 for your Peonies, Catrias, what have you. The Guidance 4 advertisement.
I love it so much. I just love it.
Me too, yeah.
Thankfully, as we mentioned, like, Edelgard is an infantry unit, so there are a lot of ways for her to get special cooldown support. So it does make proccing Gale Force easier. But one thing that I think people also need to keep in mind is that in Gale Force, it can be very difficult to get units to always be solo, since you're always like really close in close quarters, and sometimes what would be the optimal target to take out requires you to be solo anyways, and so there's a bit of inflexibility with that, though I think in most scenarios it should be fine.
I kind of wish they also like went more special spammy in her weapon. Like, instead of 10% true damage, Imagine if they just gave her like special acceleration, like a breath effect, right?
Yes.
I think that would have been cooler than 10% true damage, because 10% true damage really isn't all that much, right? It's like, how much attack does Edelgard have? I don't know, like 70. I mean, it's like 7 true. It's okay. It's good, but it's not like broken, in my opinion, right?
Yeah, I think I agree. I much rather prefer like special acceleration to the true damage. Like before the Refined came out, like having Arcane Axe on her with that special acceleration just made like the Gale Force procs a lot more consistent from what I've seen.
Right.
And so, yeah, it would have been a lot better, I think, with the solo condition to have that.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
But yeah.
I will say, they also only gave out 5 refines this month. Like, come on, IS, you're behind on refines.
Yes.
And then you give us 5? Really? She gave us like 8. Like, man, like...
Yeah, we are... There's so many like units that are still waiting for refines. Like, yeah, 5 was just such a low number, and like it's not like the other 3 that we haven't talked about yet. I don't think were really that interesting or anything. So like, I don't think a 6th or even a 7th edition would have been too much to handle.
No, I mean, now with the way they're handing out refines nowadays, I'm kind of scared, because it's like, okay, Lance Cav again, let's slap something on. Okay, next one. Like, it's like, man, can you guys be a little bit more creative? I mean, Conrad at least has Dragon Wall, which is unique.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm afraid for like Cormag. I'm afraid for Ross. I'm like, please don't do this to one of my favorite characters. Like, just give him something good.
Yeah.
Who's on the docket for this month?
It's Conrad. It's Conrad next. Oh wait, no, it's Cormag. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The legendary mythics though. Who's coming up?
Yeah, I believe it's legendary Edelgard, which I'm super hyped for. And also, let's see. Lif. Oh, Lif is going to be interesting. I don't know what they're going to do with Lif, honestly.
I'll be surprised if he can. Hopefully they can make him good, because he is just like the most. He was dead on arrival, pretty much. He was so bad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Those 2 are the kinds of units that they like to go bonkers with, though.
I'm hoping.
We'll see. I mean, predicting what IS is going to do with this kind of stuff is just a fool's errand. But I'm very curious. I want to see what happens.
My dream remix and refine for legendary Edelgard, and I talked to Satoshi about this previously, but I would like for her to get the Brave effect, slaying, special acceleration, and I guess true damage. And I think that would just like, and extra movement, like Brave Edelgard or something. I think that would just like cover her bases so well, because
yeah, it's pretty much everything.
Yeah.
I'm literally picturing, like, in the corner of your room, a dream board. Or sorry, a vision board.
You're not supposed to leak that, Joel. No.
Has like a picture of Edelgard on it. He's like taking like different parts from other characters. Like, here's all Tina's weapons for the Brave effect. Some extra boots from Yuri.
Yeah, we're going to record our 15th installment like next month, and we'll see whether or not these dream boards will come true. Hopefully it will, though. But
either gonna be like the thumbnails, either gonna be like best refine ever, or like Doom post.
Yes. Dea 2.0. Oh no.
Worst month in FEH ever.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But, I can already see what. I mean, I'm sure Satoshi, whatever the refine will be, he'll make it work somehow and have a super amazing showcase for that.
I mean, let's be honest. Like, the only thing Satoshi will complain about, like, with the refine is that it doesn't give +5 speed.
Yeah, it's true.
Like,
Satoshi's like, you know, all she needs is +5 speed, and, you know, she'll be absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I guess to, like, sort of end it off, since we have been talking for quite a bit, there are there are obviously, we're sort of in a kind of a lull state when it comes to, I guess, like new modes and stuff. Not necessarily new skills or units, but like new modes. If there is going to be a FEH channel this month, in terms of like new additions to FEH, what would you like to see?
I don't know if I think I might have said this already. Maybe I don't want to repeat myself, but I think that like one of the reasons maybe they were holding back Engage is like they want to do an Engage reveal with the new game mode. Maybe, right? Maybe we get a new game mode. Maybe there's a new mechanic with Engage rings or something like that. That'd be cool. And maybe that's why they're doing it. That's the only thing I can think of. Like other than that, like hopefully they don't give us Frontline Phalanx 2 Engage Edition, right? It's you're in the Somnia and you send out Sami to attack people now. It's like, please don't do that.
No, it's just the fishing sim.
Oh my god. Yeah. I do think that is a really cool idea though. Like implementing some sort of like emblem ring mechanic. I think that would be a really cool way to introduce like the emblem rings into FEH, because there's already speculation that, you know, we might get emblem alts of like the 12 emblem rings. And I think that would actually be a really cool way to do that. And since they're all popular characters, hey, there's money right there, IS.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
like I think it's actually possible that they could do something like that.
I think it's wasteful.
I think I think we've been preaching this for an entire year, but co-op PvE. Like that's yes, please. So combine Engage with that. I think all of us are sold. Like bring it on.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we just need. Like at this point, like we have so many PvP game modes. If you want to play PvP in FEH, you can choose a million different ways to do it. Give us PvE that actually matters. Like what do we get? We get like one abyssal map per month. It's not even. And what do you do? I mean, at least for me, abyssal maps take like 5 minutes at the most, right? Give us some real PvE content. Give us some challenges. Like make us actually like, you know what I mean? Give us like the easier levels, but then at the higher difficulties, make us think. Make us actually try out different teams. Like let us lose, right? Losing is good once in a while. You know, that's what I'm hoping for, but we'll have to see.
Yeah. I wasn't there when the first Tempest Trials was released, but I heard like that was actually very difficult, and like that just seems unthinkable to me right now with our current Tempest Trials, which is like Auto Battle City. And I think if they sort of like recapture that in the first Tempest Trials, I think that would be something when it comes to like endgame PvE.
I think the problem though is that everyone hated it except for me. I just remember going on Reddit and everyone's like, Tempest Trials the worst game mode ever. All we get is orbs. That's the only good thing. I'm never gonna get the quick and pulse seal because it's too hard. And I'm over here like having the time of my life. I'm just like playing over and over again, trying out different teams. Like, oh, and you actually could lose, right? You could actually lose in Tempest Trials. It was so cool. And then they were like, nope, baby mode engaged. And I was like, oh man. Yeah.
So this is our off ramps though, right? We have the potential for a new game mode now. The next off ramp would be like normally there's one in September,
right?
And normally that's like a minor one, but that's the next off ramp. And then if we don't get that, then it'll be December.
Right.
So I feel like it's the same thing with Engage. We know it's coming. Come on, let's give us something good. I will forgive the wait if it's amazing. Like that's
yeah.
I know what they're gonna do. I just thought of it. I know exactly what they're gonna do. They're gonna wait until the day Zelda comes out and they're gonna release some new game mode. And I'm gonna have to spend all night working on a video for the game mode instead of playing Zelda.
Now that you've spoken into existence, it's going to happen. Oblivion.
It's gonna be like Three Hopes all over again with Chaos Season.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was like the most busy week in FEH and Fire Emblem ever.
Yeah. That was nonstop.
Yeah, hopefully we get the Engage banner, cause this is it, and then next we're going to have the Fallen banner, which, I mean, I'm always hyped for Fallen banners. Who knows? Maybe they'll have some Engage Fallen banners, but I don't think they would have spoilers this soon, right? Maybe.
What if they do the
No.
What if they do the Xenologue characters?
I guess so, yeah.
Like Mean Outcrest or something. I don't know.
Okay, I will say,
Yeah.
like, I've only played to like chapter 5, but Mean, I guess we're calling him Mean. Mean Celine is like actually so good. I love it so much. It's amazing. Because it's like her normal self, but unhinged, and it's great. Yeah. Very spicy Fallen candidates, to say the least. But yeah, thank you all so much again for joining me on this podcast. It's around an hour and 25-ish minutes, I want to say. So yeah, are there any final thoughts before we end it off?
I feel like they should like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. It only takes a couple seconds, but you know, it really helps the channel out.
I do appreciate all your constant support. Yes.
Yeah. I thank you guys for putting up with me. So we'll let you behind the curtain here. I have no internet, and they accidentally like spliced the line, and so right now I am recording on my computer, but talking to these guys over my phone on my AirPods with like 2 bars. So this it is so janky, but I think this is gonna work. So we'll see how it turns out.
It should, and who knows? We might give the audience a peek of the jank audio. Who knows if I decide to like torture the audience or not. But yeah, don't worry. We have everything all sorted out, so you can feel free to listen without any jump scares or anything like that. And yeah, thank you both again for joining me. It's always a blast to talk about FEH with you two.
Of course, it's always fun.
Definitely.
Lots to talk about always.
Definitely. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. And yeah, we already did the spiel, but do let us know down in the comments what's your favorite new addition to FEH this past month. What was your favorite unit, skill, etc. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all have an amazing rest of the day. And see you all next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, guys.